Hi guys, happy Saturday. I just about said Thursday, what the fuck? Oops, sorry. Anyways, so, I'm really understanding now that, all of these different sects of traditional witchcraft are very regional. So, seeing that traditional witchcraft isn't, it is a religion and it's not a religion, I can maneuver my way through all of these now with Cornish craft, West Country craft in the back of my brain, so it makes sense more, so, or whatever. But it's just regional, very different from literally from every county. I guess it's regional, so it's wow, how can there be so much? They're just full of lore and history, and it's rich and it's awesome. So, alright, so we went over everything and the god, the goddess, how they work with different gods and goddesses, and just not one, and it's just not the buka. So don't understand that. I still don't understand that, but I kind of do in a way. But so we have notable points on the path of the king. So this, it's kind of tying together, making more sense. So, everything hangs on the wheel, obviously. Well, as in most things esoteric, there is more to that statement than meets the eye. But it is true that in this path, the wheel of the year creates powerful framework on which to hang lore, practice, and ritual in a way that ties everything together. And that's kind of what's making it come together for me. So, for them, he says, for us, the cycle of festivals laid out around the wheel of the year embody the journey of the king, and their seasonal rituals are all about enacting these mysteries rather than the agricultural celebrations found in Wicca. So this is not Wicca at all. Now, for simplicity, the 8 Sabbats are included that are familiar from Wiccan lore and literature. So some traditional crafters, including these people, use them. Others do not. No, I do not. At all. I follow the Cornish wheel. I love it. So, but they are good balanced starting points. So they are too, I agree. You might want to eventually add to them or replace them altogether, but they are perfectly fine as a starting point. But who is the king? That's what I'm wondering. So it says here, well, he is the sacred king, the hero of myth and lore, when personified as a slain and risen god, like Lu, Osiris, or Jesus. I don't get the Jesus thing here because, within, West Country Craft and Cornwall, it's not talked about, it's not written about. Jesus is not. So it's just different. Now, he says, we tend to work primarily with the Welsh deities, so, okay. So much of our wheel work revolves around aspects of the story of Lu. Okay, although it applies also to Math, the son of Methanoi, Mabon, son of Modron, and many other heroes. So it's important to note that while the term king is a masculine title and many of the heroes of these stories are male, the mysteries themselves are not gendered and can be enacted or worked by either sex. So we sometimes look to myths that have a female protagonist to make this clearer. But in truth, the important polarity in the myth is that of initiator and facilitator, rather than male and female. So, I like that. We have used the Sacred King cycle in several different ways by having a person carry Sacred King for the coven through an entire year, having a male and a female, Jack and Jill, I like this, work the cycle together, and with everyone being their own personal Sacred King. We have also run through a couple of years with a different person as Sacred King for each Sabbat. So each version has its pros and cons. Carrying Sacred King on behalf of the coven is a very profound experience for the individual, but it does not tend to regulate the other coveners, to the role of spectator. So though they can still get deep insights of if they make the effort. In an ideal world, everyone would get their turn added, but a large group that entails waiting several years for your turn. So we did go over that already, but now we have some little bit different stuff. So we have Imbolc or Candle Mass. So, and this does pertain to what we went over in Gemma Gary's book. So, Imbolc or Candle Mass Most accounts of the Wheel of the Year start with Imbolc or with Yule, and this one is no exception, but it is not an easy place to start. So you really have to understand that our wheel considers the period between Samhain and Imbolc to be the dark time, when the Horned Lord is beyond the veil of the mount and is essentially inaccessible to us. Okay, so that's kind of when the moon is dark, but not so much in traditional Cornish craft. But at Imbolc, the Horned Lord, the mount, is essentially... Oh, wait a minute. The Horned Lord is made manifest in the form of the Child of Promise, and the manifestation is the work of the maid, bringing him forth from the cauldron. So this is not to be confused with a birth. Despite the cauldron-womb connection, note it is the maid, not the mother, that brings him forth. He enters into manifestation from the cauldron as mound, tomb, rather than the cauldron as womb. So the Child of Promise, it does make sense, is of course each one of us, and the manifestation within us is represented by the lighting of a candle, symbolically the flame at our hearth. It makes sense. I mean, it makes more sense from Gemma Carey's words, but now we have the spring equinox. So in the story of Lugh, his mother, Arianrod, lays a geese upon him that he will not receive a name or arms for anyone but her. And it is through the trickery of Gwydion that he attains his rite of passage into manhood. So as the spring equinox, we work the mystery of coming of age, where the hero is named and armed and sent out into exile to seek his fate. So this can be expressed in several ways, through the walking of the shepherd's race and receiving the gifts of Arianrod at the center of the maze, or through encountering Necton at the well in order to receive a blessing on the start of your quest, as the knights receive purification and sanctification from him before setting off to find the Grail. So it's very different, and yeah, you guys are right, it's very regional, so thank you guys for correcting me on that. So the working can also manifest in a very emotional way. For several years, initiates of our path referred to spring equinox as the fuck you right, because the impetus for the exile manifested as a rebellion against authority. Alright, so I can kind of see that. That does kind of make sense within traditional craft, Cornish craft. So I'm really trying to wrap my mind around all this. But I like that. That is my favorite, the spring equinox. That would be my festival, the Fuck It Festival. Now we have Beltane or May Eve, and this is the most important part. Well, spring equinox is for traditional Cornish witches. So this is the festival where we mark the mystery of the sacred marriage. The Hieros Gamos. Our hero, having attained manhood, now fulfills his desire by uniting with the maid. In the process, he transforms her into the mother, ensuring the continuation of the cycle. So in many ways, it is the maid who undergoes initiation this time, facilitated by the king hero. So sometimes this rite can express itself through a sexual union, but this is not essential, as the true Hieros Gamos is the union of lower and higher selves within the mundane form of the initiate. So it's in with ourselves. So in our path, we refer to this as the union of the drake and crown. I don't know. I don't know what to take of this. So midsummer. So for the Sacred King, the Midsummer's Rite is a time of sacrifice, and he's literally made sacred in order to become priest to his people. The fulfillment of desire behind him, he lays down his personal desires for the good of the tribe, and makes his future decisions based upon what is good for the tribe rather than his own personal needs and wants. So the laying down of desire is represented by his symbolic castration, which in turn represented by the cutting of his mistletoe from his body to be hung on the bile tree until midwinter. Strangely enough, this ritual is always very potent for everyone who participates, and each year when we sit down to plan this rite, it's almost impossible to remember what was done in the previous years. So that's understandable. I do that too. I mean, always. When we have an individual carrying Sacred King, it is usual for that person to be completely celibate between Midsummer and Lammas, honoring the spirit of the act of symbolic castration. I just don't, I'm not really, I guess I'm going to have to get through the whole book first. So, now we have Lammas, the harvest festival, with a different, with a difference. The hero makes the ultimate sacrifice and offers himself up to fate, hanging on the tree, just as Lugh, in the form of, I've got to really got to do this. I've really got to research more on this Welsh and eagle. So, took refuge in a tree after being separated by Garanwi. I don't know these Welsh words or names. So much easier in Cornwall. So the lover of Blodwed. And alright, the Sacred King is offered up as a sacrifice along with a scapegoat, a loaf of bread. So the working involves senior initiates, literally hanging on the bile tree by their initiate cords, and taking a journey with the Sacred King into the underworld. So the whole thing is presided over by the millwife as a form of the dame, and upon the acceptance of the scapegoat loaf, the king returns to be crowned. Although rare, it has happened that the Sacred King has been taken instead of the scapegoat. So it is at Lammas that the mother becomes the crone. I don't know. I'm not sure what I see, what I feel about this. Right now we have the autumn equinox. So at autumn equinox, the exiled hero returns to his tribe as priest-king to lead them in renewing their commitment to the hearth and heart of the mysteries. At this point, the Red River of Blood and the White Celestial River of the Milky Way are joined by the Bone Ladder. Vows are reaffirmed, and the tribe or family is strengthened. Almost every year we take our cauldron, hearthstone, and ancestral skull to the ocean to wash and cleanse them under the moonlight with meditation and chanting before we gather around the ancient stone to renew our commitment to the mysteries and to each other. I like that. I really like that. In many ways, this is the simplest and easiest rite for one who carries Sacred King, because the role of king is passive. It is, however, deeply moving and emotional. So, to blood the hearthstone and reaffirm the vows as the Sacred King. Makes sense, but I mean, I don't know. Samhain or Hallows. Now, at Samhain, the cauldron is overturned as the womb becomes the tomb, and the Sacred King enters the mound and passes beyond the veil as dark time falls upon us. The mystery of death and what lies beyond is worked alongside the more public mystery of the Wild Hunt, where Gwyn and Nud gathers the souls of those who have died during the year and takes them to the mound to enter Ceridwen's cauldron of rebirth. So from this rite to the rite of Imbolc, no male deity is called on. I don't understand that. So the crone, being associated, having assisted the Lord into the mound and keened at his passing, becomes the queen. I don't know. Doesn't make much sense to me. I mean, I'm getting a little bit of a sense of this Welsh witchcraft, but I don't know. I think I'm going to venture back to Cornwall. So Yule. Alright, now at the point of midwinter, the Queen of Fate gives birth to the Horned Lord in wraith form from the cauldron. Although reborn, the hero is not yet made manifest. For that we must wait until Imbolc. So as you can see, there are definite links to the agricultural cycle practiced by various folk religions, revived under the umbrella of neo-paganism. But the underlying mysteries are, in fact, all part of the greater mystery known as the Path of the Fool, or the Hero or Sacred King. So it is a cycle that profoundly affects each and every person working the tradition, and is one of the key things that draws people to this path. So there are other Sabbats that we work as well, but that can wait for later. With the birth of the Wraith Lord, the one who carried Sacred King for the year is released, which considering the events of the year. So it's just very different. Very different. Ever since, something within Gemma Gary's book sparked something else inside of me, which is much better. I like the spark and the feeling and just the whole what I get from Gemma's books. It's more spiritually fulfilling. It makes me feel like I have more stability underneath my feet. It just makes more sense to me. I don't know if it's because if it's a little more simpler, or I don't know. I don't know. Now I just have to find Silent as Trees, Devonshire Witchcraft. So I like her take. So she's kind of staying in the same region, but she is kind of just slightly outside of her region of witchcraft, of Cornish craft. So I don't know, but I love your guys' opinions. I'm seeing them pop up when I'm doing things. I've been really busy lately. I've been mowing and doing a lot of work. Taking care of the dog. He's, got a specific formula now since they cultured his ears. So he's doing really good. All the prayers everybody's done for my dog. He does not have the body of a 14-year-old dog at all. He is very healthy. So, yeah. All those thoughts and prayers, thank you guys. So, but yeah. What do you guys think? Cole McLaren, I seen your comment and I loved it. I got to go through tonight, and I will comment back to everybody because I'm really curious about this journey, from region to region. It's wild. So, anyways, all right, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow for Sunday with Satan. Sounds more traditional than, anything really. But I love you all very much. All the way from Venus, all the way back down. And I love you guys. So please be safe, and I will see you guys tomorrow. So, yeah, wow, allergies are terrible. So, but yes, anyways, I love you all very much, and be safe, everybody.